The subject of today's lead-in video is the possibility of turning £1,000 into just over £2 million. Now, I know that may sound a bit unbelievable, but bear with me and let me share with you how that can be done. So yes, it sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Turning £1,000 into just over £2 million. But let me show you how. One of the things to explain first of all is that the opportunity that's available to me, which I've been adopting over the last, nearly 2 years now, is available to anybody. Forex trading is the title, which basically means trading foreign currencies to make a profit. And that doesn't mean that I do that. That means that I employ software and a company to do that for me, but I enjoy some very good rates of return. And I'm going to share some of that with you now. Now, to be able to share those results, I use a company called MyFXBook, because MyFXBook is a completely independent company that for those of us that are doing the sort of Forex trading, we can agree to link our broker account with MyFXBook so that they can analyze and publish the results. And when I say publish those results, they're only publishing them back to me unless I choose to share them with other people. And MyFXBook is a great way to be able to do that because, as I say, it's an independent company. I can't fudge the figures, as it were. So MyFXBook is one thing for you to be conscious of as we go through this relatively short video. The second thing to be conscious of is a broker account. Now, what's a broker account? Basically, it's like a bank account, but it allows the software to be able to trade on the foreign exchange currency markets, but also to influence the value of my money. So to set up a broker account, which is very simple and very straightforward, and I can show you how to do that, it basically means that you can then transfer some money from an existing account into your broker account, and it's that money that is then used in the Forex trading markets. So explaining those two things, MyFXBook, completely independent company, which if you choose to, as I have, to link my broker accounts with them, I can then use them to analyze the numbers, the profits that I'm making, or the losses that I'm making, because it can go both ways. And I think it's important to say that past performance is no guarantee of future success. Say that again, past performance is no guarantee of future success, but past performance at least is an indicator of what is possible. So I'm now going to take you and share my screen off to what's called MyFXBook. And MyFXBook, we can then look at the results. So here we are on MyFXBook, and this actually shows one of the 3 accounts that I've got that I'm trading in this space. And again, when I say I'm trading, I'm actually allowing another company to do the trading for me. They're the experts, they're the people using AI software to be able to do the hard work, the heavy lifting, if you like, but I get to enjoy the results. So this is an account that I actually started back in February 26th, 2021. So this is now over 20 months ago. And when I started, what you'll see here over this period of time is that there are 2 lines on the graph on the page. The first is the red line, which I call the reach or the target that the software is trying to get my money to achieve. The yellow line that follows it, and sometimes it's invisible behind the red line because it's on target, but it does, as you can see, sometimes dip down below the red line, which is really showing the volatility in Forex trading. And at this point, in fact, the yellow line, as always, shows me the real value of my money. And at that point, when it fell off the cliff, we were down at minus 34.77%. So it just shows that there is some risk involved in what we do. But what you'll notice is that between February 26th, 2021, and now, we're now looking at an 85.62% growth. Now, 85% growth over 20 months basically comes up at about 1% per week. So what I'd like to do now is try and illustrate what does that 1% per week actually mean. So I'm going to show you what's called a compound interest calculator. So that's what you can now see on the screen. And on the compound interest calculator, what I've done is I've entered an amount here just of 1,000 to illustrate, if you like, the effect of compound interest. And compound interest has got nothing to do, if you like, with which vehicle or what software I use. This is pure mathematics, which is illustrated on this particular spreadsheet. So as an example here, I put in this box the number 1. Now, number 1 basically represents a forecast that if I achieve 1% per growth per week, what would that actually mean? And as you've seen on my FX book, on that particular account I shared with you just now, that's been averaging just over 1% per week. So I feel as though I'm showing a realistic number here for the results that I've been achieving. And maybe they are results that you could achieve too. We'll see. Anyway, at 1%, basically what happens with compound interest is that for the 1,000 in week 1% of 1,000 is £10. The £10 is added to the 1,000, and that, of course, gives a cumulative number of £1,010. Now, where compound interest gets clever is that in week 2, we're not then just making another £10, we're actually making £10 and 10 pence, because 1% of £1,010 is actually £10 and 10p. So the £10 and 10p is then added to the 1,010, clearly giving a result here of £1,020. And what you'll notice in this column, the weekly growth keeps increasing the further we go on the journey, because we are then calculating 1% of a growing bigger total, and that's the cumulative figure that you see here. So in both columns, as we start to roll forward, you'll see the numbers increasing in both columns. So that, for instance, after just 1 year, we're then generating per week £16.61, being 1% of this total cumulative number. And cumulatively, we are now added up to £1,677 as a running total of what my 1,000 or your 1,000 could be worth in that period of time. As I continue to roll down the spreadsheet, what you'll see is the numbers keep increasing, and there is this exponential growth. And what I mean by exponential growth is that it starts to accelerate because the 1% that you're making per week, let's say after 3 years, is actually £46.75 per week, rather than the £10 and 10 pence per week that we recorded in week 2. As we keep adding these numbers to the cumulative number, of course, that grows as well. So in this instance, 1% growth per week over 3 years turns my £1,000 into £4,722, nearly 5 times the value of the original investment that I made. And as we continue to circle down the spreadsheet, what you'll see here is that after 4 years, that 1,000 is then generating £78 per week of interest. That £78 and the other numbers here being added to the cumulative total means that after 4 years, my 1,000 is worth now nearly 8 times the original invested £1,000 that I put in. And after 5 years, which is as far as I take this particular spreadsheet, what you can see is that that 1,000 that I originally put in is now worth just over £13,000. Now, that in itself is quite remarkable, and I've summarized those results here, but I've also summarized in graph form here, so you can start to get a visual, if you like, of what happens with compound interest and the exponential growth. And what I mean by exponential growth is that it doesn't start off very exciting, but the longer you keep the money there, and the longer the compound interest effect happens, the faster and the more the growth of the fund accelerates. So that, of course, is the compound interest calculator on this particular account. What I'm now going to show you in my FX book actually is a second account that I've been running. And I've been running this just for 10 weeks, so a much shorter period of time. But what you're looking at here, as I can show you, is I started back in August the 16th, 2022, and obviously bringing that up to date into just the beginning of November, I've created a growth there of 38.23% growth. Yes, that's 38% growth in just 10 weeks. Now, I think, as I said before, past performance is no guarantee of future success, but all we're doing here is measuring the results that I have achieved in 2 of the accounts that I'm currently running. Now, 38.23% growth in 10 weeks, of course, averages 3.8% per week. Yeah, that's 3.8% per week. Remarkable. Sounds too good to be true, but what I'm showing you here is factual information as to what's actually happened to me over the last 10 weeks. So if we go back to the compound interest calculator, what you then see is that if we have our 1,000 invested, and rather than put 3.8% over here on the left-hand side too quickly, let me just put 2% in there to show you what happens to illustrate the effect of compound interest. So I'm going to put a 2 as in 2% per week. And what you can see here is that rather than being worth £13,290 after 5 years, my same 1,000 after 5 years has turned into 172,000. Quite remarkable. Now, of course, you're going to ask me the question, well, why don't I put 3.8% in here? Well, I will, but first, let me just put a 3 in there to show that if we achieved 3% per week, the maths allows us to see £2.1 million worth after 5 years has built up in our broker account. And that's why I said the subject of this lean-in video is how to turn 1,000 into just over 2 million. So if, and it's an if, because I say past performance is no guarantee of future success, but if you invested £1,000 using this software, this AI software that is involved in trading foreign currencies to make a profit, and we got the same result, after 5 years, 1,000 at 3% per week on average would turn into 2.1 million. Now, again, of course, you might beg the question here and say, well, what if it was 3.8%, which is the current that you are actually generating, Peter, from this particular account? So I'll add the 0.8 in there, and we'll see again the remarkable effect that compound interest has on this figure over here. Because as soon as I press enter, it's going to change this 2.1 million to a bigger number because we've now added the 0.8% over here. So at 3.8%, that now turns that original £1,000 into £16,267,000. Quite extraordinary. And that's why I think Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. And I know that Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, says the same thing. And Warren Buffett has been able to use the magic, if you like, of compound interest over his lifetime to generate the sort of wealth that he has for himself. So there it is, a visual explanation with credibility. I hope you'll agree that by sharing my numbers with you, particularly using MyFXBook, which is a completely independent company, I can't fudge the figures, if you like. They are actual figures of 2 of the accounts that I've been running, one over the last 20 months, which has achieved on average 1% per month. And the second account, which I've shown you today, which I've been running now for just 10 weeks, and I've been achieving 3.8% per week. So if you're sitting there and thinking, well, I would be interested in learning more about this opportunity to find out, what are the risks or what is the size of the investment that's necessary to be able to achieve these sorts of results, I'm going to invite you to visit my website at peterboulton.com. I'll put the website address on the bottom of this video so that you've got it. And at peterboulton.com, you'll get to learn a bit more about me, what I do, how I help other people to increase their income, their profits, or their net worth. And if it's something that's of interest to you, and if you're serious about looking at this opportunity, I'm going to suggest that you use the contact us part of the page on the website to be able to reach out to me, send me that email, and then perhaps we can set up a conversation either on the telephone or on a Zoom call so that we can discuss, if you like, the detail, answer any questions that you've got to make sure that you're comfortable if you want to get ahead and try this opportunity and see whether you can make similar amounts of money, similar amounts of return on investment over a period of time to get started. I started with a small amount of money to test it for myself. I feel like I've done the work. I've done the due diligence on a variety of different income producing opportunities that I'm now involved in. And I'm really happy to share those with other people so that other people can generate similar levels of success. Anyway, if you're serious and you'd like to know more, why not visit my website at peterboulton.com and reach out to me. We'll arrange a time to discuss, and I'll see if I can answer any questions that you've got. And if it's something that you're interested in, I can show you how. Okay, anyway, look, I'll let you get on. Have a great day.